Hello again. We will be discussing Blessed Be the Tie That Binds, number 557 in the Methodist hymn book, The Faith We Sing. I was not familiar with this hymn growing up in the Episcopal Church. It is in the 1940 edition of the Episcopal Hymnal, but for some reason was left out of the current 1982 hymn book. We never sang this tune or lyrics in worship. I first heard this song in college, watching the play Our Town by Thornton Wilder. I remember it being such a pretty tune, I made a mental note to look it up immediately in the music school library. The hymn is literally written into the script of Our Town, which is the story of two people who fall in love and the small town they inhabit throughout their lives. Blessed Be the Tie That Binds is used 3 times in the life of Emily and George and highlighting the tie that binds the two of them. The first instance of the song comes during a choir practice, which occurs simultaneously with George and Emily's conversation through their open windows in Act 1.
Remember, ladies, music come into the world to give pleasure. I'll try it again. Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love. Now listen, everybody. Get it out of your minds that music's only good when it's loud. You leave loudness to the Methodists. You couldn't beat them, even if you wanted to.
The second instance comes during the wedding ceremony in Act 2. The third instance comes during Emily's funeral, as her body is interred and she joins the dead in the cemetery, leaving George behind. Let's talk about the music to this hymn. Hymn tune Dennis was written by Johann Nageli, and it was arranged by Lowell Mason. First, we'll talk about Johann Nageli. He was born 1773 to 1836 and founded 2 singing societies. He wrote profusely on music theory and aesthetics, as well as introductory treatises for students. He died in Zurich in 1836. He had a profound effect on Lowell Mason. His dates are 1792 to 1872, who arranged this tune, along with around 1,600 other hymn tunes. Lowell Mason was a very important figure in 19th century American church and music in general during and after his lifetime. His best-known work includes the hymn tune Bethany, which sets the hymn text, "Nearer, my God, to Thee." He is largely credited with introducing music into American public schools and is considered the first important U.S. music educator. He has also been criticized for helping to largely eliminate the robust tradition of participatory sacred music that flourished in America before his time. We will cover this in another version of Hymnotes. The author of this hymn, John Fawcett, was born either in 1739 or 1740 and was the lyricist for this hymn. He was the pastor of Wainsgate Baptist Church in West Yorkshire, England. This favorite hymn is said to have been written in 1772. The story goes that on the planned final day of his ministry at Wainsgate, the farewell sermon was preached. The wagons were loaded. When love and tears prevailed, Dr. Fawcett sacrificed the attractions of a London pulpit and stayed at his church. The words of this hymn focus on the person-to-person love and support we give each other in family, community, and globally. Here is a recording I made of 3 verses of this hymn.
Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love, the fellowship but we shall still be joining heart and hope to meet again.
Hello, this video doesn't have a lot to do with the history of the hymn, Blessed be the tie that binds, but since I used a movie excerpt, I'd like to talk about it a second. Now, it is Our Town, and it's from a production from 1940, and it has the choir director scene in it, which I found pretty funny, just because you like to watch your profession being shown in a movie, and this is my thoughts about it. Let's see.
Music come into the world to give pleasure.
True.
I'll try it again.
Okay, that's funny because that's a generic joke with choir directors and basically directors in general, where the only direction is, let's do this again, but with feeling. You're not really giving them any sort of tool as to what it is that you want. And then subsequently the movie goes to his very scary shadow looming over them as they practice.
Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love.
It just yells dynamics at them.
Now listen, everybody. Get it out of your minds that music's only good when it's loud. You leave loudness to the Methodists. You couldn't beat them, even if you wanted to.
There's a couple funny things about this. One is he's talking about the Methodists, and you're not going to beat them in volume. I suppose this is an outgrowth of the Methodist churches being what people consider the singing churches, and maybe we'll have a subject about that at some point. The best piece of advice he does give here is, though, that get it out of your heads that music is best when it's sung loud. A lot of people have that misconception. I've seen it in contests 100 different times and concerts, that sort of thing, of different choirs. One will be up there and do a great job, and then another one will come up there and do a great job too, but it won't be as difficult as the song that the quiet choir sang, and they'll just blow it out and everybody will clap because, hey, they're louder. But that's not really how it goes. So that was a good piece of advice. And now I'll leave you with the creepy horror film conducting that he does at the in this movie, and it's pretty amusing to me. See you next time.